بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. We continue to study in the book of Al-Jama' and in the chapter of Al-Birr was-Sila, the hadith that we have started last time, hadith narrated by Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال إن الله حرم عليكم عقوق الأمهات ووأد البنات ومنعا وهات وكره لكم قيل وقال وكثرة السؤال وإضاعة المال. In this beautiful hadith, the Prophet ﷺ saying that Allah has prohibited on you عقوق الأمهات, the disobedience of the mothers, and we mentioned that including of course the father, ووأد البنات, and the burying of the infant female alive, and that was a custom into the time of ignorance. ومنعا وهات, ومنعا وهات. Man'an is to forbid to give, to prevent, to hold off, and wahat, and give me. It's like people, the Prophet ﷺ, he in this balance, the way to man'an, to prevent people from giving, and had to be always asking. وَكَرِهَ لَكُمْ قِيلَ وَقَالَ, and he hated for you to engage in gossip, and the gossip in general, like qala wa qila, he said and he didn't say, and he should have said, all of that. وَكَثْرَةَ السُّؤَالِ, and the match of question or requesting or inquiring. وَإِضَاعَةَ الْمَالِ is to be wasteful of the money, of the wealth. So this is the hadith, but let's go into the sharh to understand more in depth the meaning of these words that the Prophet ﷺ has prohibited, conveying to us, prohibiting us, telling us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it haram for you, and he hated such an action also for you. So we have mentioned al-uquq, we have mentioned wa'd al-banat, comes to man'an wahat, man'an wahat. Al-man'u masdar min mana'a yamna'u, man'u is to prevent, to stop from giving or from doing something. وَالْمُرَادُ يَمْنَعُ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى بِهِ أَلَّا يَمْنَعُ. So these people, they are stopping or preventing from people from doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. وَهَاتِ فِعْلُ أَمْرٍ مَجْزُومٍ, هَاتِ, give me. وَالْمُرَادُ بِهِ النَّهْيُ عَنْ طَلَبِ مَا لَا يَسْتَحِقُّ طَلَبُ. So the meaning here, that it is prohibited to ask what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made forbidden to ask. This is a balance, mana wahat, mana wahat. So in one's behavior and conduct in life, some people, they always want to be engaged in the affairs of other people by, enjoying good and forbid evil. But not everybody, they know how to enjoy good and forbid evil. The problem, living in a secular world, people are, subhanallah, their mind, it becomes thinking in the way that how the society thinking, or the dominant creed, kind manipulating, if I can say, or maybe, let's say altering, deforming, reshaping the way of we think, reshaping the way of the thing. So start people to give you advice based on their understanding of life, not based on the understanding of the way of Allah, of the Sharia. So you should not do this. You should work so hard, you should make money, you should this. There's a lot of people who want to give advice, and they find them sincere. So sometimes people, they engage in such advices, they are preventing the person from truly engaging in what Allah ordained them, and subhanallah, also asking what they should not be asking. Here in the balance of the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ, al-man'u wal-hat, it's in a very general way that the Prophet ﷺ, so we have it like mujmala, we do not have details. But in reality, when you think about it, it becomes like the behavior of the believer to not be hastened to forbid or to stop people from doing something unless you are sure that what you are doing is in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because some people, they think that their opinion matter, their opinion value, they are like, at the level of wise people, so whatever they say need to be heard, No, as a believer, you need to be humble. If you're going to advise your brother or sister, her sister, or, advise someone, Do it in the way of the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do not hasten to stop people from doing things when you're not sure what you are saying is right or not. And also do not hasten to request and ask, give me this, I want this, can you give me this? Because some people, sometimes it's something, insignificant. For certain people, is important. So you might cause them hurting, you might by your action, causing enmity and so on. So to put in the same or the balance, and there is actually hadith in the book of the Zuhud, how someone will gain and improve and strengthen their dignity and their honor by not asking people what they have in their hand. قال استغناؤك عن الناس وكره لهم قيل وقال, and he hated Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the believer to say قيل وقال. قيل وقال. القيل والقال يروى بغير تنوين حكاية للفظ الفعل, وروي منونا قيل وقال, قال قيلا وقالا على النقل. You can say قيل وقال or قيلا وقالا. What is the meaning here? That we are prohibited, Allah hates for the believer to engage into قيل وقال. قيل وقال is, let's say, the type of the gossip. فالمراد به نقل الكلام الذي يستمعه إلى غيره فيقول قيل كذا وكذا. One of the aspects of قيل وقال is to just repeat what you have heard and to, kind of you transmit it or you convey it or you take it and you say, so and so, it has been said this. Sometimes you don't even mention the person. So it's not much of a gossip, but of the statement or the content that you are carrying and conveying. قيل كذا أو كذا بغير تعيين القائل, without saying who have said it. وقال فلان كذا وكذا, or you say so and so he said this and this. وإنما نهى عنه, why it has been prohibited for us, لأنه من الاشتغال بما لا يعني المتكلم, because make a person get busy and wasting their time by focusing or subhanallah engaging themselves in things that will not benefit them. So this is from al-lagh, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave from the characteristic and the attribute of the believer, قال وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. So if someone is going to subhanallah kind of reporting everything that they said, that's the type of the gossip, that's killing the time, that's subhanallah causing then perversity to the hearts. قال وإنما نهى عنه لأنه من الاشتغال بما لا يعني المتكلم ولكونه قد يتضمن الغيبة والنميمة والكذب. Look, subhanallah, because of what you report, it has subhanallah carry in it غيبة, backbiting, namima. It's like causing subhanallah issue between people. والكذب, lying. So if you're going to report something, you report something that is good, beneficial. And if he's going to report the news, you have to verify it. قال حتى تبينوا. So you cannot report anything that you hear. Because you might be reporting غيبة, you might be reporting كذب, and actually doing such a thing, it becomes someone a liar. Why? Because he's reporting everything without verifying. And getting them into wickedness, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called the one who brings the news without verifying is a fasiq. قال لا سيما مع الإكثار من ذلك قل ما يخلو عنه. I mean, when someone will do it that much, then necessarily he's gonna fall into this shortcoming and to this defect. قال المحب الطبري, this one غير المفسر, فيه ثلاثة أوجه. We need to look at it from three perspectives. أحدهما أنهما مصدران القول تقول قلت قولا وقيل, وفي الحديث الإشارة إلى كثرة الكلام وكراهيته. So this is قيل وقال, is like you talk, someone is talking too much. And this is then in the hadith for someone to guard more silence, than to be speaking. And the tongue, subhanallah, one of the bigger afa, and all of you know in the hadith of the Mu'adh that the harvest of the tongue leads وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ to the hellfire. That someone need to value or be mindful of what they say. The second, قال إرادة حكاية أقاويل الناس والبحث عنها ليخبر عنها. So there's perspective from the hadith that you can understand that there's people they want just to listen with other people and they report what they have said with a good intention, let's say. فيقول قال فلان كذا وكذا وقيل له كذا. So he report the whole conversation. So and so he said, and the other person he replied, and so on. والنهي عنه إما للزجر عن الاستكثار منه وإما لما يكرهه المحكي عنه. So here the prohibition comes from two aspects. Because if you report your brother or your friend what he have said, so here there is prohibition. Maybe the brother that you are reporting, he says he does not like that you talk about that. That's one thing. The second, also there is an admonition for someone should not do it, because if they're going to keep doing it, then the istikthar, to do it that much, is going to lead, as we said, as reporting ghaiba, reporting namima, and reporting kadhib. The third perspective according to Al-Muhibb al-Tabari, قال أن ذلك حكاية الاختلاف في أمور الدين. Also, one of the aspects that al-qil wal-qal, when it comes into differences in the matters of the deen. كقول قال فلان كذا وقال فلان كذا ومحل كراهة ذلك أن يكثر منه بحيث لا يأمن من الزلل. Because if someone keeps reporting what other people they said about the matter of deen, and he will do it in that match, then he's going to fall into defect and lead other people astray by saying things that is not verified and is right. وهو في حق من ينقل بغير تثبت في نقل لما سمع ولا يحتاط به. Also, this is directed for those who report without verifying and without being careful and cautious of what they say. Because when you report the matter of the deen, you're reporting deen. So a person who thinks that the person who reporting is a knowledgeable person, he's going to take it as granted. When he take it as granted and apply it, then he applying something that is wrong, because the person who said it, he didn't verify it, and it is not hukm of the deen, he just heard it, Like sometimes you hear certain question, very, awkward question. Someone said, there is a hadith saying this and this. He said, there is no such hadith. This hadith is saying, it does not even exist. So even from the way how they report your hadith, or the story of the hadith, that this hadith does not exist. So many people, they want sometimes to strengthen or to have people to listen to them, say there is a hadith. Or you say there is a hadith, it's a problem, it becomes like you're lying. You are forging lying against the Prophet ﷺ, and whoever will speak on behalf of the Prophet or forging lying against the Prophet ﷺ, so it's not easy. And it becomes very common, very common. Someone, told me something, hadith about some of the Christian when they do their fasting, if a Muslim offer them food at the time, he's commit shirk. So he said, is this hadith? He said, yes, this hadith. He said, this hadith does not exist. From the title, from just the story, this is not hadith of the Prophet to be careful in such a thing. قال ويؤيد هذا الحديث الصحيح, and this is what strengthen also come to give us another evidence along with this hadith. كفى بالمرء إثما يحدث بكل ما سمع أخرجه مسلم. This hadith sahih is enough for a person to be committing sins if they speak or they talk, or they report everything they have heard. That is already said. كفى بالمرء إثما. كفى is enough sin for a person to report everything they listen or they hear. Why? Because as a believer, where's the verification? Where's your ta'ah of Allah? Where's your fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You're just reporting, it's like subhanallah, a parrot saying everything you hear. قلت ويحتمل إرادة الكل من ذلك. So the author here, the sharh, قال all what we have mentioned, these three perspectives, is included in this hadith. Included in this hadith. So the qil wal qal, it's something that it's not of the conduct or of the attribute or the akhlaq of the believer. It's not from the akhlaq of the believer. If you want to report something, and if you heard something nice from a brother that benefits you, you're going to report it also as an advice, and that will be good. But if you hold a whole conversation and you report it, what is the reason of it? Or subhanallah, matters of the deen. Or the matter of the deen, if you want to learn, just go back to the sources. And if you want to report something, be sure that what you are reporting is valid, justified, and within the guidance of Allah and His Messenger. Because if people sometimes, they have all the question, and I know the youth today, they have this very, only they think about one thing, It is haram to, it's like subhanAllah, it's like the whole deen is about haram. Is it haram to? So I say, can you change the perspective of the way how you think about the deen? Everything you come to it is like the deen, the whole deen is haram. Then we're going to find the small space from which we're going to enter is halal. It is haram, 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 haram. And that's his mentality. Nothing have to do with the guidance of Allah and His Messenger. Nothing have to do with the teaching of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But it's more, subhanAllah, cultural. It's more customs that, I would not say even custom, because the custom, that's not that. But how people, they grow into certain culture where the deen is rigid, where the deen, everything about the deen is hard, and things, so everything becomes like, subhanAllah, the vision of the haram, which lead to a lot of qeel qal. And this qeel and qal, it has a lot of lying, a lot of like distortion, a lot of falsehood that make people to, like, subhanAllah, push them away from the deen. We're talking about our own people. They think that the whole deen is something that is so closed, dark, and when you get to it, subhanAllah, it's like you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose the tranquility, you're going to lose the fun, everything, it's like rigid. It's like, subhanAllah, someone is like live under a bondage. And that's, subhanAllah, an idea that people they have, not only is wrong, but it is sinful for someone to practice such, thinking and act upon it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not hold you accountable on what you think. But if it becomes like a way of doing, a way of thinking, a way of formulating statement, then you are sinful because of what you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you think of His guidance, and you think of the Prophet, and you think of his guidance sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. كثرة السؤال, we have almost 5 minutes or less. كثرة السؤال comes in the same, because قيل والقال is going to lead or engage or kind of push people to start ask a question. And then it comes the dispute, comes the argument, and the differences, and then subhanAllah, the conflict, animosity and everything. And the su'al here has also another meaning, which is su'alul mal. So we have a su'alu is to ask, as-sa'ilu is the one who asks for sadaqah, who asks the beggar. And as-sa'ilu also the one who asks a question. فإن both قال هو السؤال للمال أولا أو عن المشكلات من المسائل أو مجموع الأمرين, or we ask it about clarification of issues or matters. So this is two are included in this hadith. وتقدم في الزكاة تحريم مسألة المال. In the chapter of the zakat, he already mentioned about how to beg the money without reason, without being in need of it. When the Prophet ﷺ was defining who is the rich person that you should not ask for begging, he was talking about a person who has owned a goat in his house, only one goat. So one of the Sahaba, he came in line to get some of the help. When he heard that, he left, because he found out that he's a rich person in the way of the guidance of the Prophet. So when you have your own satisfaction, when you have your food, when you have your shelter, alhamdulillah, you are like a king. Then begging for no reason, it is an action of, it's a sinful act. Of course, unless someone is in a difficulty of things, but we're talking about, وَقَدْ نَهَى عَنِ الْأُغْلُوطَاتِ عَنِ الْأُغْلُوطَاتِ أَخْرَجَهُ أَبُو دَاوُد. Al-Ughlutat is some people, subhanAllah, they think they are knowledgeable, or some people, they think, subhanAllah, when they sit in a class, or they sit in a halaqah, or they sit with a scholar, or with a teacher, or with people, they throw, like, subhanAllah, kind of fishing for issues to show that the one who's speaking, he does not know these matters. So, for example, ughlutat, it's like to cause the person to make mistakes, or like hunting for mistakes. And that's, subhanAllah, haram, one of the major sins. The Prophet called them mutanatti'een. This type of people, متفيقهون, etc. قال أخرجه وهي المسائل التي يغلط بها العلماء ليزل. They give the مسائل intending them to make mistakes to show that, you see, he does not know anything. I mean, you coming to learn. So why you are trying to cause this teacher or this scholar or this speaker to fall into mistake? To show off? You know that you know? And that's what is one of the biggest things. قال فينتج بذلك شر وفتنة. So what is going to cause evil and fitna, big fitna. وإنما نهى عنها لكونها غير نافعة في الدين ولا يكاد أن يكون إلا فيما لا ينفع. And it has prohibited because it's not helping in learning, it's not helping in the deen, and it's not helping is any of the intent of the deen. Cohesion, unity, brotherhood, love, compassion, all subhanAllah, this type of thing is destroyed. Then it's haram, then it's a major sin. ثم قال وقد ثبت عن جمع من السلف كراهة تكلف المسائل التي يستحيل وقوعها عادة أو يندر جدا. For this reason, many of the righteous predecessors from the scholars, they hate those suppositions, those, مسائل that افتراضية, like suppose if something happened, what is the ruling? This thing that you're talking about, it does not happen, and it's going to happen. So to get engaged into treating and analyzing this mas'ala, it's like irrelevant. It's irrelevant. You like, putting obstacle for people to learn, and you're not here to learn. قال for this reason كره العلماء أو في السلف كراهة تكلف المسائل التي يستحيل وقوعها عادة أو يندر جدا, أو they are very rare for this thing to happen. لما في ذلك من التنطع والقول بالظن الذي لا يخلو صاحبه عن الخطأ. So تنطع, it has like subhanallah, it's like pushing people to fall mistakes, and tanatta, it's kind of type of wickedness truly that conflict with one's sincerity in learning. So people, they just want to make issues, and in the same time pushing other to speak out of their opinion when there is no true foundation for that mas'ala, which is going to lead to al-khata. Finishing with this sentence, قيل وكثرة السؤال عن أخبار الناس وأحداث الزمان also include asking a lot of questions about the news of people, about the time. وكثرة سؤال إنسان معين عن تفاصيل حاله, or asking a specific person about his, the detail of his state, how he's doing. وكان مما يكرهه المسؤول, things from that the person asked about hates. And this is, subhanAllah, you see it in the society, in the whole world. For this reason, one of the aspects, and when we talk of the Prophet ﷺ, كثرة السؤال, be informed that whatever the Prophet ﷺ telling you to not do is going to help you to build everything that has been promised to you to get. Blessing, purification of the heart, tranquility, all of that. So this kathrat al-su'al is going, subhanAllah, is like burning everything around you from the good thing that you can acquire from the way of Allah and His Messenger. So here, for example, people asking about people, akhbar al-nas, or ahdath al-zaman. Things, if it's really important for you, part of your aqidah, learning about your people in Gaza and Palestine, that's an obligation. That's, your heart will need to be with it. Because this is part of who you are. That's part of your identity. But talking the eyewitness news in the news, or what's happening, in the neighborhood, cat was, cat in the tree, and they brought the police to get her down. Things, what they did, and those, subhanAllah, futile, irrelevant, laghu, that's really kills the heart. The other thing which is very important with which we conclude, قال كثرة سؤال إنسان معين عن تفاصيل أحواله. To ask a specific person about details of his life. He is, subhanAllah, especially in the society, they do not have any sense of shyness, of modesty. Even people they do not know. Only can sit next to you on the plane, he start to ask, you want to ask, even your forefather, what his name. Wallahi, such a people, I ignore them, when you say, it's like I don't know anything. So they say, for example, oh, do you work? Where do you work? Oh, you're married? How many kids you have? What their name? Where they go? I mean, subhanAllah, that's so embarrassing. As a believer, don't do that, because it's not from the behavior of a believer. Because if you want to have your brother to be in a very, always feel good around you, do not ask about specific thing, Sometimes people, they don't like, even what you wear, you say, oh, from where this? Or this does not look good. Yeah, keep your opinion to yourself. I mean, he's happy with what he has, If you have to give him nasiha, give him nasiha in the proper way. But this is wallahi very important. I know, alhamdulillah, most of our people, they don't do anything, but how we learn to not get engaged into it when people, they ask you. Because sometimes you might not need to be a little bit harsh when people, they ask you a question and said, I'm sorry, I don't want to get into that, at least to stop them. These, all of it, need to kathrat su'al, and kathrat su'al prohibited, and whoever who does it, just subhanAllah, will be inviting perversity, inviting impurities, inviting illness into their hearts. Jazakumullah khair wa barakallahu fikum. We continue next time, inshallah, with ida'atul mal, and what are where someone, the way to make infaq, to spend, that is not called waste. According to the scholar.